Alright, so Godzilla X Kong is finally here, and with this being the movie where we're seeing these titans going to defeat a threat, and with Hollow Earth involved, and continuing, and this is the newest installment, and continuing the Monsterverse, and even with the plot and the storyline with these characters, and just so much more as well. And so this will be my review for the film. Obviously, no spoilers, just going over my impressions and my thoughts, and going over the issues that I have and how they could have made it better. We talk about the monsters and the human side of things, and just so much more as well. And so if you're new here, then be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future vids. But now let's just hop into it. And now, just by going in this movie, and even as we look at the Monsterverse with its franchise that started way back in 2014 with Godzilla, and then they were building it up with Kong, with Skull Island, and then having these two fight each other and see each other as enemies, especially in 2021's Godzilla versus Kong. But like now, we see these two and actually become teammates and actually end up working together, especially in this movie, and just continuing this franchise, especially with what Adam Wingard has like built up with the story and with his vision moving forward. But now I feel like with the new Empire and exploring more of a Hollow Earth, especially with the threat that Godzilla and Kong are up against, and now that they're officially a team. And now essentially what the main premise of this movie is that we see our titans Godzilla and Kong as they're going up against a threat that is terrorizing the existence of their world, and that they are teaming up together to stop this threat. And now even with the storylines and even with the plot, but which I found very interesting, but I wasn't nearly satisfied with this. But even like exploring more of Hollow Earth, which was pretty fun to see. And besides, even within like the opening minutes of the movie, it perfectly sets the tone for what's come towards the final minutes of the movie, or the final showdown towards the third act of the movie, which I'll get into in a bit in this video. And that even that we get to explore these titans even more, because we just had these two go up against each other in the last movie. And now like exploring like Kong and what his species is, and plus even with the villain that is sort of related to his species, but when it came down to just the main storyline, I feel like it was like lackluster throughout the entire story. And even with our main characters, I feel like with our storylines, it was sort of interesting, but at the same time I kind of felt bored with, because even now we are back with Dr. Eileen Andrews from the last movie, and with her daughter Jaya, and I think this movie explores more of her, especially for what she is going through, because like she can like communicate with the Titans, especially with Kong, and even with Dan Stevens' character, which I enjoyed. I liked his humor, I liked his charm, and plus I like his stuff. Plus that we have a Brian Tyree Henry back, and like even that, as we like explore that side of his character, especially as he has a podcast talking about the Titans, and like even as we see these let's say character grouping, I don't want to get any too specific details here, but like it's just like with their story and the way that it is executed on screen, it's just like sort of like bored the heck out of me, because I feel like they could have done something better, or like cut out like this much of the movie out. Now I want to get into my main issues with this film, and that's starting out is with the story. And well, because once the movie opens, and plus I mean these Titans are getting explored, especially within like the opening minutes of the movie, but once it came down towards the final product, like it teased this big team up between Godzilla and King Kong going up against a threat in Hollow Earth that is related to Kong's species, and because I feel like that's the part that it really just made me feel, man, like I wish we would have like explored this villain more, like sometime like earlier on in the movie is set up being just like a later on, but it instead like it just felt like a waste, especially when it came towards the final showdown. But even with the character's story, I feel like I mean, it was just like not so satisfying to me. But even with Godzilla X Kong, I feel like they did good with the human storyline, but I feel like they went on for like way too long and introduced these new characters, which I think about hollow and just really dry and not really satisfying me. But even like with the villain, especially with Scar King, and that was the main threat of this movie. But because I feel like he looked cool. I thought like, I mean, our villain, our main antagonist looked pretty cool, and that's what Godzilla and Kong are up against. And even I want to talk about King Kong because even as he had the Infinity Gauntlet on, or like some kind of like tech that he had, and like, I mean, that was teased up in the marketing towards the end of the trailer, and we got to explore like a young gorilla, and even as like the son of Kong, and like even that we got to explore the son, and I hope that he continues on a little later on in this Monsterverse franchise, and they decide to keep going with this. And with the highlights that I think people will definitely like us, especially going in this movie, that this is with Godzilla and Kong working together, even though they saw each other as enemies. But like now that this is like with like Kong, that I needs like Godzilla's help to help defeat the Scar King, and that is threatening their world. And also one thing that I'll say is, especially with the pacing and the story, it definitely has issues because we have new and old characters from the last movie, and that are definitely explored in this movie, but it definitely lacks the entire storyline, and which it was completely long, and it took away some of the main plot that the movie has teased up with these titans. And on top of that, with Hollow Earth, which I really enjoyed exploring in this movie, because that's where Kong is, because I think that adds his new home, and even when Kong has been developed as a character and as a titan, especially in the last movie, learning more about his species, and even with the villain that's in this movie, that's more of his type, and with Scar King and everything else. But even with the look of Hollow Earth, I thought it was really good. And now I want to talk about the third act and how everything comes together, because with the showdown that was teased in the marketing and the trailers, especially between these two Titans going up against a threat, and now once it came down to the last 20 minutes of the movie, I feel like it was a bit wasted because I feel like, as I said earlier, I feel like with this thread that could have been in just like earlier on in the movie to get the audience hooked, but I feel like with them like introducing it like way later on, I feel like, I don't know if it satisfied me, but I like the final showdown, I like the final fight, and like, and it had the most best fight scenes I have ever seen, and like especially because I think with King Kong's son, and that is definitely more involved in this film, and especially towards the third act of the movie, and just with the epic fight scenes that go down towards the end of the movie, it is pretty dang good. It's really cool. My final thoughts is, I thought this was good. It was decent with Godzilla X Kong, especially with these Titans go up against a threat that is threatening the existence, and even with the characters and the plot and the storyline, it just really lacks everything about the rest of the movie, and it was fun to explore these new and old characters, but it turns out it was a bore. I mean, I don't know if I was satisfied or not, but I definitely enjoyed the final showdown with these titans and of what they were able to do, and that was the best part. I enjoyed like the whole movie, but again, go in this movie and form your own opinion, and you'll think maybe later. But again, that's just my opinion, but and you'll have a good enough time watching it as well. And so that's going to be it for this video. Just let me know you guys' thoughts in the comments down below, and if you got around to seeing Godzilla X Kong, let me know in the comments if you've seen it. Also, give me a rating to 1 out of 10. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe and turn on notifications about future videos, and also follow all my social medias, which are linked down below. And with that, I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.